Well, hello there again. It's Jonathan at the piano lesson. Boy, do we have a treat for you today. People seem to like the Tom Lehrer that I did last week, so I thought I'd give you one more for the Christmas season, since we had a Hanukkah song this time, something for the Christmas season. And we'll talk about other piano-related things. So let's just kind of jump right in. Now, just disclaimer, right? I haven't really practiced this real hard, okay? And because I just found out about it, all right? So you'll kind of cut me a little slack if I have a clinker here or there. But by the way, this is called the Vatican Rag. What is a rag, by the way? A rag, it's not something to clean your windshield if it rains. No, a rag is a dance. And American music, American jazz, evolved from rag or ragtime. Rag, late 1800s. Probably the most famous ragtime composer, of course, is the great Scott Joplin. And by the way, there is a movie called Ragtime. And it's a fantastic movie to see. I mean, it's a really, really brilliant movie and some great cameos from some famous actors. But typically when you hear ragtime, the most famous ragtime piece probably is The Entertainer. Probably every ice cream truck in America has The Entertainer, belting out of it. I will say this. It's my feeling, after a lot of consideration, that rag, is played way too fast. I think most music is played too fast, especially music that has words. You kind of want to hear the words, especially if they're good words. When I first started out playing music, I really didn't care about words very much. And, a lot of musicians don't. I mean, we really don't care. And if there's a singer in the band, as long as there's a note there, we really don't care. We're just there to play music. But as you get older and as you come to appreciate lyrics, we want to take the tempos down a bit so we can hear them. But I will say that when you play ragtime tends to sound a bit flighty and trivial, and it's not as serious as people think it is. But it actually has a great dignity. Probably the most well-known performer of ragtime, recording artist, I'm not sure if he's around anymore. His name's Joshua Rifkin. He had done a number of recordings. I think he used to teach at Brandeis University. And his recordings are really, they're much slower. They have much more, they're sort of more dignified. They might even be a little bit too staid, but I think also, in general, when you're playing music, play at a tempo that is comfortable for you. There's no one right way to do it. And that's one of the great things about playing jazz also, is that when you're playing a tune, you can take a tune that's typically played slow and played faster, but conversely, you can take a fast tune, play it slower, right? So let's have some fun with this tune. I think you'll kind of like it. Okay, here we go. Here. First you get down on your knees, fiddle with your rosaries, bow your head with great respect, and genuflect, do whatever steps you want. If you have cleared it with the pontiff, everybody say his own Kyrie eleison, doing the Vatican Rag. Get in line in that processional, step into that small confessional. There's the guy who's got religion. I'll tell you if your sin's original. If it is, try playing it safer. Drink the wine and chew the wafer. 2, 4 Time to transubstantiate. So get down up on your knees, fiddle with your rosaries, bow your head with great respect, and genuflect, genuflect, genuflect. Make a cross on your abdomen. When in Rome, do like the Roman. Ave Maria, G. It's good to see ya doing the ecstatic in rag. And there you are. Little glitch here and there, but you know, you get the idea. Another tune you can just pick up off the internet. And the dark web. Lurking in the dark web somewhere. It's kind of kitschy, you know. It's funny, when I used to hear Tom Lehrer's tunes and I used to kind of cringe and I go, oh, that's really kind of tacky. But now I listen to them and I'm like, you know, they sound like Mozart, frankly. And, you know, if anyone's offended by this, well, good for you. It means you have good taste. Okay. So, what's the deal with this tune? Well, I'll just tell you a little bit about the tune structurally. It's kind of interesting because you have an introduction, 4-bar introduction, and it's in C. It starts on the 5 chord, G7, C, back to 5, and then 1, and then he has a diminished as a passing chord, C sharp diminished, which could be A7, flat 9 perhaps, D minor, G, 2, 5, and then it goes to 5 again, and 1, and then he has a passing chord, B flat A. It's basically a 6 chord, okay? And then he goes to the subdominant 4, F, F sharp diminished, goes up, and then he has a C chord written there. So you guys should know that, you know, don't take this stuff too literally when you're making your arrangements. So the bridge it goes to the F, that's the 4 chord, F sharp diminished, so it's a sharp 4, okay, and then he goes to C, which is 1, but it sounds a lot better if you have G in the bass, okay, because you have this, you have that melody going up, and that's what I would do in the music. You just see C, okay, and that would sound, you know, then you go back to C, right? But this is better, right? The G in the bass. How do you do that with a Roman number? Remember your figured bass, the figured bass, right? 1, and then you look at the second inversion chord. Root position, C, E, G. First inversion, E, G, C. Second inversion, G, C, E. Okay. G up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. G up to E is a 6th. And 1, 2, 3, 4. G up to C is a 4th. Those are the notes in the chord. So it's 1, 6, 4. Let me just kind of show you what that's like, right? Okay, right? Root position, first inversion, second inversion, right? There's your 6th, there's your 4th. Every second to second inversion triad. Okay, and if you don't know Roman numbers, well, learn them. They're not that hard. I mean, you know, there's only 12 you gotta know. Well, actually, that's not true, because really all you have to know is 7, because there's only 7 notes in the scale. You need to know 12 if you want to tell time. A surprising number of people don't want to learn Roman numbers. I don't know why. I think my dad taught them to me when I was like, I don't know, I think I was in kindergarten or something. And I remember having a discussion, kind of well, I'm not gonna say heated, but there was some music theory school out, I don't know if it was Virginia or something like that, some Christian school, and they had some easier way of writing chords and explaining music theory. All right, now even if it is easier, okay, just setting that aside, there's like 400 years at least of these symbols used in music, and particularly in music theory books. You're not going to be able to understand or read a music theory book if you don't know Roman numbers. But they were complaining that this was easier and the other way was too hard. And I was like, look, I mean, even Jesus knew Roman numbers, right? He had to, right? You know, Roman Empire. Let's not get into that. Anyway, I think it's fun. I think it's a lot of fun. So. So quick review of figured bass. Okay, let's just do that real quick. So here's your staff. Let me get you a little better view of that. Okay, and should we do bass clef? All right, we'll do bass clef. All right, because we're talking about chords. And so here's C E G. Okay, C E G, and here's E G C. Okay, and here's G C E. Okay, so here you have root position. That's the symbol, right? First inversion with E in the bass. Second inversion with G in the bass. That's the symbol you'd see. And in the key of C, let's say in the key of C, okay, this is Roman number 1, 1, 6, and 1, 6, 4. Now you could say 1, 6, 3 possibly. All right, why would you do that? Well, because here's the root position, C, E, G. If I take the lower note, bring it up here, here's the 6th, okay? Here is the 3rd, all right? Why don't we write 3? Well, there's no point. It's not necessary, okay? It's just superfluous. So just write 1, 6. Everyone will know you're talking first inversion. And also when you're reading music, root position chords, you have always similar placement on the staff, right? Space, space, space. That's a root position chord, or line, line, line. Okay, that's a root position chord. Like say here above the staff, line, line, line. Those ledger lines can be hard to read, but if you see them, they're skips. They're all on lines. It's some kind of a triad, okay, and probably some kind of a root position chord, So that's how you get good at reading music. Likewise, over here, this is the first inversion chord, and here you have your 6th. Okay, that's your 6th. This is a 3rd. All right, 2 space notes of a 3rd. Space line is a 6th. Okay, space line is an even number. Space space is an odd numbered interval. And then here you have your 6th again. Okay, those inversions both. That's the second inversion, and they both have that outer interval in common, but not so here. That's a 4th. It's a 4th. Space, line, even number, 4th. Space, line, even number, 6th. Okay, so that's your second inversion. All right. So a little diversion. So let's get the music back here, and we're kind of the middle of the song. 4 in a minute, 6, and then 2 chord dominant, and you could play a straight C. That sounds very raggy actually. I sometimes put a 6 in there, the A. So 2 chord again, as I mentioned. You can have dominant. You can have D7. D7 is 2 ways to think of it. 2 ways to think of the 2 chord. Depending on what you want to do, but in the key of C, right? D7, G7, C. That's the cadence. Okay, you could think of it as 2, 5, 1. That's fine. Or you could think of this as 5 of 5. D is the dominant chord in the key of G. The reason I might not choose that is because it just doesn't resolve to the key of G. You'd probably choose that if, in fact, you're going to the key of G. So I'm just going to use the uppercase Roman numeral 2. Remember, uppercase 2, major, or dominant. Basically, it's a major chord, right? Because it has the major third in it. And if it's minor, the minor, well, lowercase 2. That's the distinction, all right? And of course, if it's a 7 chord, probably you want to go 5, 7 like that if you're really being picky. Okay. Now, from there, it does something very interesting. But anyway, you have 4 bars of the introduction, 4, 8, 12, let's see, 16 bars for section A. And then it has what's called an interlude. So it's not really a bridge. I mean, you could call it a bridge if you want, but in the music here, it kind of just jumps down. It's an interesting music way of tweaking the musical form, but it's basically 5 and a lot of chromatic in here and C. So it's 5 and then 5 again, 1, and then it goes 5, 7, C7, F. So C7. What's C7? You know I like music theory, right? People say, oh, it's just a theory. It's just a theory. You don't know what the word theory means. I mean, theory is not a suggestion, okay? It's a fact. It's actually bigger than a fact, okay? A theory is something that's been tested over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. A whole lot. Otherwise, it's not really a theory, okay? It's an hypothesis or conjecture, okay, or a nice idea. We learn theory so that by knowing that, it significantly raises the likelihood that we can reproduce the music that we want accurately over and over and over and over again. And we can also create our own music in a way that would reflect the aesthetic imperative that we have, to write a tune, okay? Again, it's like a recipe book, like a cookbook, okay? I mean, yeah, some people, they cook without cookbooks, they cook without measuring. Okay, you can do that. Try that in a commercial kitchen. It's not going to work, okay? So at some point, if you want to do something on a larger scale, you want other people involved, you're not just cooking for yourself, you're cooking for a dinner party or a restaurant. You got to kind of know how much is too much salt, okay? Otherwise, no one's going to want to eat at your restaurant. It's the same thing with music. There's formulas. It's kind of a mystery as to why we like certain things and don't like others. Just like it's kind of a mystery why we like salt, and we don't want salt. I was going to say we don't want salt on our ice cream, but now they have salt on our ice cream. So okay, but within reason, right? But it's the same thing, same idea. So so we're going to call that an interlude. And C7 is the 5 of 4. 4 is the 4th note in the key of C. And C now is not the 1 chord because it's the dominant. It's 5 of 4. That's called, again, a secondary dominant. And that's why when you're practicing your scales and chords, good to practice in, again, circle of fifths or circle of fourths, however you want to think of it. But, this, that kind of thing. So what did I do there? I mean, I took the 1 chord and I made into a dominant, the 5 of B flat, F7 is the 5 of B flat, and you do the pattern in that key, and then you can make it dominant, and then you go to the tonic of the key, which is E flat, da, 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 right? You kind of do that. If you look at your scale books and you look at your chord cadences, and they're presented in a logical order, in a musical order, okay? Musically logical order. And let's kind of finish that interlude. Yeah, there we go. And then F major, F minor. That's very interesting how a lot of tunes, it's very typical for a tune to modulate, the words modulate, transpose briefly into another key, okay? In this instance, we're starting in C and we're going to the key of F. How do we get there? Well, we always typically use the secondary dominant. In this case, it's C7. But then, very often, it'll go to a minor. It'll make it into minor. It's kind of a nice sound. And it's actually F minor 6 with the melody note. And then diminished F sharp, and then G. Usually diminished chords are used as chromatic passing chords. So F sharp goes to G. Now, an F sharp diminished 7, F sharp goes to G, and A goes to B flat, and C goes to C sharp, and E flat goes to E. So you could conceivably go G, F sharp, diminished G, da da. Right, you can go da da. Oh, did I do that right? Yeah, I think so. Da da. A diminished. That's an inversion of F sharp, B flat, or C diminished to the D flat. Now, the top part of the C diminished chord, if I go down a third, that's A flat. A flat is the 5 chord. 5, 1. So the diminished chord functions in more than one way. The diminished chord can function as a chromatic passing chord. Okay, so I guess call it the grease for the musical wheels, but the diminished diminished triad or the 7th chord, whatever you want, but it's a chromatic passing chord. So passing meaning that we're moving by step, in this case by a half step. Okay, so that's what I mean. It's just and typically it would function as the 7. Okay, or it's kind of the top part of a dominant 7 chord, and they're kind of interchangeable in some respects. So and just a little technical point here. I wanted to just make clear. This is a little getting into the weeds a bit, but this is a point that I think everyone should really be clear on. Okay, I'm going to write this in treble clef. So let's just say here's your C, E, G, B, C, E, G, B. Okay, that is a C major 7 chord, right? And it's major 7 because the distance from C to B is a major 7th, all right? B is the 7th note in a C major scale. This is the 1st note, and this is the 7th note in the scale. If I make that into a flat, right? Put a flat in front of it. Now it's a flat 7, and it's no longer major 7. It is C7. Okay. Now we've gone from a major 7 to that is a minor 7. If you take a major interval, and you lower it a half step, you get minor. All right, that's the way it works. All right. Now, if you take that B flat again, if you take a minor interval and you lower that a half step, then you get diminished. So if I flatted it again, okay, the term is double flat, B flat, B double flat, which is also B double flat, which is the same as A on the piano, but it's not the same note. C, let's say E flat, G flat, B double flat. But that's why they call it diminished. That's it. That is, by definition now, a diminished 7. Okay, and if I make that again into E flat and G flat, put a flat there and put a flat there, flat, 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 and double flat. That's why you call it diminished. There, I've said it for the whole world to see. And then you have a DS, so DS del segno, segno to the sign, like a stop sign. Am I spelling it right? SEGNO, 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 like kind of like SIGN, like sign in English, right? You go back to the sign and then to the fine. So you go back to the DS and then to here we go. Then to the second ending, and then to the fine. Kind of hard to see, but if you download it, I'll try to put a link up in the comment section like everybody does on YouTube. But if you just Google this, you'll find it. So I don't know. Thought that'd be kind of fun just to noodle around with, you know. And then we have our ending. Yeah, the ending is very similar to the introduction. Intros and endings are a whole thing to work on. But if you have a good introduction, you can use it as an ending, and vice versa. If you have a good ending, consider using it as an introduction, because it'll probably work. You know, the same that works just fine for both. You know. All right, friends. I think we're kind of winding down here. Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening. And I hope Santa's going to be good to you, or Hanukkah Harry, or hope you have your Hanukkah bushes up and your Christmas trees felled and tinseled. Is that a word, tinseled? It should be. I'm Jonathan Eder. This is the piano lesson. Please comment, like, subscribe. Don't subscribe. Don't comment. Just stay home, eat, and just, you know, eat pizza or something. Do something. Do something that makes you happy. Okay, guys. See you soon. Thanks.